Party.
That's fine.
Did you hear a bump in the night? In the night. Bump in the night. Bump in the night. Bump in the night. Did you hear a bump in the night? In the night. Bump in the night.
What's up? Bump the Night Society presents Exploring Your Society. I'm your host, Sean Bowman.
Mikey B.
Today we have Vince Kelien. Is that how we say it?
Keelan,
Kelien? What's up, Vince?
what's going on?
Not
Why
much.
don't you,
Not much.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Vince.
I've been in the paranormal field since around 2010. I started off at Waverly Hill Sanatorium. Going up to the hill, I used the haunted house audition to kind of get my way in, because I didn't know how to become a volunteer or how to like be a worker or whatever. So I had used one of the annual Halloween haunted house auditions to speak with the owner, and then from then on it was just kind of like fireworks, and I just have been there on and off since 2010. I'm not there right now. Who knows what the future holds with that? But my very first day of coming into work at Waverly, I had my very first paranormal experience. I had one when I was a kid, but I can't validate that, if that makes sense. But was putting up a wall for the maze and haunted house on the first floor. Around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, started packing everything up. Went down the hallway, got to the glass double doors, opened it, set the alarm, shut the door, and pulled everything out. Now, if you've ever been to Waverly, you know that there's a back parking lot, which used to be like Waverly's ravine, I guess. Hey, Candy, how are you? But it used to be the ravine there. They graded it up and compacted it and turned it into a parking lot. Well, there's another parking lot on the side of the building that I didn't realize you could, park there, like closer to the door or whatever. So I was trying to be respectful. So I parked in the back, took all my tools out, opened up the trunk. And when I opened up my trunk, I looked up at the building because I heard what sounded like, you ever played dodgeball in high school or middle school or whatever, the noise that the dodgeball makes?
Yeah.
When you bounce it or you hit somebody with it. I heard that. So I looked up at the building and a red dodgeball come flying out of the fourth floor solarium and bounced down into the neighborhood. Vince left all his shit in the parking lot, trunk wide open, jumped in the car, took off down the hill. I get down to the bottom of the hill, and I was so quick and so fast about this that I undid the gate and I flung the gate open. I parked too close to the gate. The gate scraped into my hood on the car. So I had to run back, get in the car, back it up, push the gate open. And then whenever I was about to get back in the car, I look up towards the top of the hill. Now this is like 5 o'clock, 5:20 in the afternoon. So it's still daylight. It's, the middle of August. So it's hot. And I look up and that dodgeball is coming down the driveway.
Oh, geez.
If you know Waverly, so you know the building's right here, the ball bounces down into the neighborhood, right? That neighborhood ain't got nothing to do with that driveway.
That's pretty wild.
But I heard laughing as the ball was coming.
Was it children?
I don't know. Because how long it's been. I don't remember if I could have even distinguished whether or not it was an adult or a child. But I was the only one on the property at that time. And I called the owner, I called Tina, and I was like, hey, all my shit's in the parking lot. I left the gate wide open. She's like, well, me and Charlie are on the way up from dinner, so we'll shut the gate. We'll grab the tools. And I was like, I'll be back in the morning. And so I told her about it. She goes, oh, look, initiation.
Yeah. So how long did it take for you to get used to activity like that?
You don't. You don't. And I mean, I know, Sean, you do. I don't know too much about Mike, but what's up, Nick Nunzi? Look, I'm getting into my element with wives, you know.
Yeah.
As you guys know, you don't. If you spend enough time in a place like Waverly, so for me, it's Waverly, it's Pinhurst, it's Trans-Allegheny, and the reason why it's the bigger places. I know a lot of investigators and a lot of urbexers and stuff. They like the really small places. For me, I have so much metabolism. I'm so hyper that I have to be able to get up and walk around, because if I don't, I have an anxiety attack or a panic attack. Maybe me and Jen should have switched podcasts. But I'm so hyper and so over the top with everything that I have to be able to get up and walk around and move. And that's also a big problem. So with, like, for instance, the video coming out tonight, that I have coming out at 9, it's a relatively big place. If you've you were just there with me at FCI Con.
Yeah.
So this video is
I've investigated there once before too.
Yeah, I've not been there yet.
So a place like that, you can get up and walk around. Where I'm going tonight is Whispers Estate, where it's really tiny.
Yeah.
Really small place. So it's going to be really hard for me to keep focused. Like if I'm going to investigate or whatever, it's going to be really hard.
Where's Whispers?
It's Indiana.
Somewhere in there.
Dude, Indiana, just all these different places. There's so many places in Indiana and Ohio that are just like, there's so much going on.
Yeah, for sure. That's why we always have to go to Ohio or another state, because Western PA, it's few and far between, you know. We got about Hillview Manor, used to have Greenville Manor, and that's about it outside of going outdoors.
Other than some of the local places like Dead Man's Hollow or something like that. But
right. It's Mitchell, Indiana. But places like that are so much easier for me because it's like an hour and a half away. Yeah,
that's always nice. It's usually a long haul. So you do a lot of urban exploring too, outside of investigating. I gotta ask, I watched your one video, was the what was it, the Lonely Road of Alabama? And I noticed at the end you encountered you edited it out, but I'm assuming a crackhead listening to a cassette of banjo.
Yep.
So I just gotta ask, like, doing the urban exploring, that's a whole nother element from what we do. Yeah. What is if it's not that, what is the craziest thing you ever encountered? Like any homeless guys doing a soup kitchen in a place, or like a rabid squirrel?
So what I do for work, my boss is a tremendous guy. His name's Greg Huff. He's a wonderful dude. Me and him worked together for a really, really long time. And this job that I have, I used to be a cable guy. I was a cable guy for 13 years. His business has taken off, and he's had so much success with it. And he was like, I can afford to get you to pretty much come in and play manager. You know, we'll just give you the role of manager, but you won't be like manager-esque. Yeah. So we'll get you to run these cars back and forth for text. So like these cars so Volkswagen Jettas, they have the thing on the top, you can put ladder racks on them. Instead of running your ladders off of a truck every 5 minutes, you know, it's a decent height. But when a car needs maintenance, the shop that we rent them out from is in Versailles, Kentucky. So running them back and forth to Alabama, running them back and forth to Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, all kinds of different places. So it's allowed me every single place that I'm in to go check these places out. And he doesn't mind that I use the cars to do that while I'm on the road.
That's awesome.
That's a good gig.
Yeah, it's really nice. I have run into meth labs. I've run into drug deals. I've run into homeless people. I've ran into the Pornhub side of urbexing. And I haven't even, that's the funny thing too, is I've only been doing it for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
and just all these different places that I've checked out. Now, you go into a place in Gary, Indiana, and it's easy. It's fairly, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Gary is like it's a dead city, but it still has a community. But it's not like it used to be, like it was the nation's #1 crime-ridden city and blah blah blah. Now it's not.
Gentrifying it a little bit.
Yeah, so it's become a dead city, and most of the homeless people that were in those places have been kicked out by urbexers and ghost hunters and people like that. So now they've moved into the houses that are abandoned instead of like the big giant buildings. So something for like Gary is easy, and you'll probably never run into anything like that. But if you're going to a rural town right outside of Birmingham, Alabama, you might encounter a crackhead. You might encounter a meth lab, people having sex, everything that you could possibly think of that you wouldn't dare to do.
Yeah.
Now, do you carry or?
I used to. There's a lot of laws when it comes to carry, and a lot of the states aren't carrying or have to have the permit, but the permit has to be through their state.
Okay.
So a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll just, I'll play it old school. I've got a knife in the bag if I need it, but I've actually thought about talking about doing pepper spray or something just in case it's like,
yeah, I would for sure,
out of control or whatever.
Yeah.
But as far as protecting myself, I'm not a violent person anyway. And I mean, I've got kids, I've got a family. So if I needed to be, I would.
Yeah.
But
now, have you ran into like any animals or anything?
Yeah, which is odd enough. So the one that you watched, the Lonely Road,
the hummingbird.
Well,
Is that
besides
the hummingbird one,
you run into birds all the time. That's just it doesn't matter where you go. But the one that had the house that had the hummingbird had a gardener snake coming up out from in the floor. There was a hole in the floor, and literally there was a hole that was big enough where it was just like, you're like, how is the snake coming out of the floor?
Yeah.
I don't know if like rats had chewed at it a minute and then the snake came out. I have no idea.
Did you ever run into anything bigger, like bears or raccoons or anything crazy like that?
Not yet. And probably the reason being is because most of my exploring has been south.
Oh, okay.
So I imagine, so when we do Gettysburg Bash, I do plan on hitting a bunch of places up there if I can. I got to go see my buddy Stephen Dillon up at Saratoga County Homestead, and I'm going to visit Shannon at Norwich. I've got a whole bunch of different places that I can go check out while I'm there.
Yeah. I definitely want to get to Saratoga because actually my mom is from Saratoga Springs. She was born there.
Oh, no way.
Here, and like I'd love to get there sometime.
The place is beautiful. It's falling apart, but it's what you expect from a place that's been abandoned longer than it was in operation.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And now that the owner has it, now the owner wants to sell it. And Stephen Dillon put a lot of love and heart into the place. Even just trying to clean up the floors is a giant pain in the ass because all the plaster and drywall and everything is already fallen. So I mean, it is what it is. But it's a beautiful place. It's really odd too. You think it's in like the middle of the woods. It's right there on the main road.
Yeah.
So the road's right there. You have to like make a sharp turn to get into the parking lot. That's wild. If you could see the parking lot.
So what you do investigating too, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
What was the sketchiest experience you had while on an investigation as far as non-paranormal elements?
Non-paranormal?
Non-paranormal, yeah, like the environment itself.
Oh, okay. Non-paranormal. During a tour or I think it was our last tour of the night at Waverly. This was a bit like 2 years ago or something. First time encountering this. ever, which is actually kind of shocking. I get a call on the radio that somebody's drunk in the parking lot, which it's Friday night. It's going to happen. The person that was in the parking lot turned away just for a split second. And when she turned back, the guy was gone. Then I get a call on the radio that someone has climbed up the fire escape and is on the 5th floor and is disturbing the guests, and a big whirlwind of stuff. The guy ends up getting back down the fire escape before we can get to him, and he falls off, not the fire escape, but falls off of the side of the hill. So if you ever been up there, you see it, like there's these concrete barriers or whatever, and he falls over the concrete barriers. And yeah, from what I understand, he hurt himself pretty bad. But I've seen people pee off the building, off the side of it. Now, as far as sketchy, I don't know if either one of you have been to Indiana State Sanatorium.
I have.
He has, yeah.
There is a spot that is in the TB ward that, if you don't know, if you're walking down the hallway just before you turn into the TB house, is pretty much what it is, a big giant house. Right before you turn in, if you keep going and you take a right, that whole floor right there,
ready to go.
It's I mean, it's there, but it's gone.
Yeah.
Well, did you go back where the doctor's houses were?
Yeah.
Because those complete floors are like missing. Like we actually there's a bumpy like standing on the balance beam part going through there.
Yeah, the last time I was there, I did a little bit more exploring while I was there too, and going back into the doctor's houses or whatever. I went upstairs, which you shouldn't do, but you know it is what it is. You sign your waiver. Yeah. And I went up the one that the roof they're working on the frame, but the roof is like half gone. I got up there and I was just walking on the 2x4s and stuff, and everyone's down there like yelling at me and like, "What are you doing?" But yeah, fun stuff.
Yeah. I just asked that question because I know on your videos, urban exploring, a lot of the times the floors are collapsing and stuff to that extent.
Oh, okay, so you meant urban exploring. You didn't.
No, I did mean paranormal this time. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, the roof at Saratoga it's not gone, but if you were to walk up on the roof, you fall through. Yeah. Fell through a floor. I fell through which is weird because everything's concrete. But if you
somebody's clicking there.
I don't know if it's me.
There's little parts in Norwich that have wood floors. I fell through one of those.
Oh wow.
I haven't hurt myself yet, so that's a plus. You know.
Yeah.
As long as I don't hurt myself, I think I'm okay.
Yeah, because I know Sean. Didn't you fall through the steps at Lake Shawnee?
I didn't fall through them, but yeah.
Oh no!
And they have a trailer. You know, I'm a big guy. You've met me in person, and I fell right through like 2 of the steps right there.
Yeah,
but I was fine. And the whole like trailer floors collapsing and everything else. Like I knew then to walk on that stuff, but
yeah, we had some experiences too at the House of Wills in Cleveland. Yeah, I think it was the 3rd floor where you and I did the REM pod session, Sean.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem like it was going to hold
to walk
both
like
of us
on like his narrow path, otherwise.
Right. Yeah. It was him and I, and we got almost 550 pounds between us, so it's it can get sketchy.
There's a place in hey Lexi, what's up? There's a place in Gary, which I can name this fallen down. I'm trying to refrain from naming places. Two fires were set recently in Gary, and I feel partially responsible because I had said the name on a video. Now it's probably local kids or whatever, but I'm not comfortable with it anymore.
Yeah.
With giving out the name to places just because of that. But City Methodist Church in Gary, Indiana. If you ain't careful, there's a staircase where if if you get up to the second floor without taking that staircase, you take another one, and you go up to the top, and you come back down. If you're like me, you're really fast going downstairs, you'll fall to your death.
Mhm.
And I almost did it recently. Val's in the chat too. She had done it as well. But I did this, Sean. I don't know if you saw the photo, but there was a photo recently that I put out. There's a drone shot, not a drone shot, but a shot from the other side of the building where I was on a ledge,
Okay.
and there was nothing there. Like it was like there's like this much to the ledge. There's nothing there.
I think you're not afraid of heights or nothing, right?
I am. I'm terrified. That's the funny part. Is I was like, this photo would be badass, and I'm like on the outside of this ledge, and I'm like, if I lean over, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
But Brownsboro, gorgeous Urbex has no name dropping. No name dropping.
Well, it's gone
Stop it.
anyways. No, it's
Oh,
gone.
dude,
Yeah, they
yeah.
tore it down a couple years
I
ago.
was gonna say DM me.
Yeah. Yeah, when it comes to the Urbex, I know you have to keep things quiet. Even though,
Yeah.
when people, I'm in a couple groups, and it's like you can tell where it is a lot of the time.
Yeah, I'd love to do that type of stuff, but between being old and big and slow, like I ain't trying to get caught.
Well, see, most of the time, and that's why no one's afraid of cops. So that's why no one's afraid of like running into a drug deal or whatever, is because they're just going to tell you to fuck off. They're going to tell you to go in a different. They're going to tell you to go home.
Yeah.
I've run into cops. I've run into cops many times. All of them have been cool. Never had a problem with any of them. They was just like, hey, fall upstairs. But I don't. They're all cool for the most part. Normally, what's up, Kayla? Every cop I've run into has been cool, maybe except for one, which was like a renter cop. But when the actual cop showed up, it was like, go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's because the rent-a-cop was just pissed that he's not a real cop. So
I don't know if you've ever heard it.
This guy, man. So there's a old police station in Louisville downtown, and I didn't know anything about it. Just one day I drove past it and was like, "There's a fence all the way around this place. Awesome." So I did some research and found out what it was, whatever. And the mistake they made is that their gate is wide open.
Yeah.
If it's locked down like that, where it's fenced off, there's no way in. I'm not going to damage it to get in.
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm a respectful person, and someone put their hard labor into it and everything else. I'm not going to destroy anything just so I can go see, just so I can satisfy my itch. But the wide open, and then you get in there, and part of the fence is down. Somebody tore it down. I was like, I didn't do it, so who cares?
Yeah.
And then there's a window that's busted open. I didn't do that neither, so I don't care. And I noticed while I was in there, me and my buddy AJ were there, and we looked up and we saw one of those trail cameras and the little blinking light, and we was like,
Yeah.
fuck.
Just wave to it.
we waved to it, and I was like, and I didn't know anything about it at first, but I was like, if that's not hooked up to anything and it's not running like wireless, I'm gonna take it. Yeah, so like it was like 4 hours later, me and AJ are wrapping up. We're on the outside of the fence, in between the two buildings, taking drone shots, and this rent-a-cop pulls up and he was like, "Y'all stay right there." We was like,
see ya.
The cop shows up and he was like, "Can you call?" And he like sent him over to the other cop, and they're talking over there, and he was just like, "What do y'all do?" I showed him a video, and I was just like, "This is what we do." And he was like, "Do you take anything?" I was like, "Typically in urbexing, you leave things the way you left it." Now, if it's something like, I don't want to get up. If it's something tiny, like if I know it's getting demoed and it's something little, then I will indulge myself. But like it has to be, it's nothing of value, never is. But I've started a key plate cover collection of these places that I've been to. If you don't know what a key plate cover is, it's the old skeleton keys that they used to use back in the day.
Yeah.
the cover over the key lock.
Oh, okay.
So really small, really tiny, and I'll indulge myself then. But if it's not, then I leave the place the way it was. No graffiti or anything like that. Even
I don't know who
though
that is that's commented there. That wasn't me.
It
Oh,
must
I
be
think it
me.
is.
I don't know if it's my microphone.
Hi, is it Jen or
Maybe.
is that Jen?
I don't know.
Hi, Jen.
I mean, Jen's met you before, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's April. I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
So I was wondering too, because I last time I got a tattoo, my artist was telling me he watches Urbex videos on YouTube,
Yeah.
and he said as far as legality goes, like you said, if it's open and you go in, the worst that can happen is trespassing charge. But
Yep.
if you have to actually force yourself in, then you can get breaking and entering along with trespassing. So I was wondering if that was true or if that was just something that
No,
they said.
it absolutely is. If you're caught doing it, and something wasn't the way it was before, like a gate's down or a window's busted or there's fresh spray paint cans or
Yeah.
whatever, then they'll probably more than likely hit you with a trespassing charge, and you'll get probably about a half a $1,000 fine. Why didn't I just say $500?
Made it sound way more highfalutin.
Commented on it.
Right, like I'm so intelligent. But most likely, if the cop or the caretaker or whatever notices that there's something different that wasn't there before, then most likely I got friends who've gotten hit with charges before, and 9 times out of 10 they get dropped.
Yeah.
But if it's this is coming from somebody that has never been to jail, never been to prison. My father's been in and out of jail my entire life. Luckily, it didn't rub off on me. I look like I've been to prison though.
All sleeveless, ready to roll with the guns out.
Yeah. I never followed in those footsteps or anything. But I've had quite a few people that have got. Hey, Holly, I met Holly over at FCI too.
Nice.
They normally 9 times out of 10 charges get dropped, and it's usually like a smack on the wrist, and they're like, "Don't do it again. Here's your bill for $500."
Yeah.
I had somebody drop a comment in one of my TikToks recently, a couple days ago or whatever. I posted a new Urbex, kind of like a Urbex video or whatever. It was more like a montage, I guess. But where they was like, when I did it, I got a $450 fine and I got a week in county. I was like,
holy hell.
You must have really to get a week in county jail. You must have really done something.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to hit you with a trespassing charge, especially if you didn't break anything. If the gates or the doors or whatever was wide open, come on, dude.
So when you're walking in an abandoned place and things are a little sketchy, because I know watching that video that you were kind of strategic with where you were stepping, like what kind of advice would you give for people looking to get into it as far as identifying like spots in a sketchy area?
That's a really good question. So in any case, if there's a fence up and it's fresh, turn away and walk the other way. There's no reason to even try. If you walk up on a place and it's open and you see a door open, you see a window that's busted out, whatever the case, that's what you look for every time. I've been through windows. I've been through elevator shafts. I've been through the front doors of a building many times. That's usually how it happens. The door's just off. But yeah, I mean, you're just looking for anything. 9 times out of 10, any abandoned building that you're going to find is going to have some kind of point of entry. I just don't suggest it if you. I don't suggest it if there is a fence up. Don't jump the fence. There's no reason to. Chances cops do show up and you're the type to run, they're going to catch you before you even hit the fence. just be smart about it. Don't be stupid. When you're in these buildings, don't be loud and obnoxious. If you're a joker, which I am, but like in situations like that, if you're like a prankster or a joker or whatever, you like to jump out and scare people, you have to control yourself because those places are not the places that do it. Plus, on another aspect, if you haven't swept the building, you don't know who's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
So you could be
recommend doing
making a
that
lot
right
of
away
noise.
as soon as you get in?
Oh yeah, the first thing
Yeah.
I do is sweep the building. I won't. I didn't do the last time I ran I did an Urbex video. Or sorry, the last time I did that without sweeping the building, and the only reason why I did it was because there was a shot that I really wanted.
Yeah.
I always sweep the building every single time just to make sure there's nobody there. I'll walk into different areas. Is anyone here? I'm not trying to disturb you. Just something. Just so whoever might be in there is aware that somebody's in the building with them. That way they don't get spooked or scared or anything like that. And I don't get a gun pulled on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you more urban explorer or more paranormal investigator? Because I know you go by urban investigator.
It's a mix of the two. The last couple of times I've been to different places, it's been mainly I've gotten into this weird routine where it's content. But this one that I just did, I did with Zach. If for anyone who doesn't know, is the Ghostly Travels with Zach.
Yeah.
And I actually like sat down and I got some history of the place, and I was listening to the two people that own it, and was kind of going over a couple different things, and I got to actually sit down and really investigate. Now, most of that night was there's Jen. Most of the night was mainly filming part, but it's like you always got to have the camera on regardless of where you go. But in the night before, or the 2 nights before that, with Fairfield with Trinity and Brittany, I'd already been to Fairfield once, and it was a really good experience because because at that time I was only doing content like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook or whatever, so I wasn't doing YouTube when I went to Fairfield the first time. So I kind of already knew the place, and I really knew where to go and what to do and everything else. So it made it a little bit easier. But only here, got to get ready for a podcast. Yay, Jen! But last couple times I've got to actually sit down and play with the drone and listen to stories and interact with the tour guides and stuff at these other different places. The next one I have coming up besides tonight, I think I want to say it's Crescent Sanatorium. Now I know they're under hot water and everything, but and this may be my last chance anyway.
Yeah.
Crescent's
from what I understand.
Been there before?
No, never.
It's massive.
Yeah, it's ridiculously huge.
I know they're under hot water, but I had already booked my tickets to do this overnight way before I knew what the issue was. And they don't give refunds, so it's not like I can just. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah.
Sure.
Definitely. Are you going by yourself too, or?
So the group I'm going with is 2 separate groups actually. One of them is the group that I mainly run with, which is Outcast Paranormal, and a group I used to run with, Cross Country Paranormal. Now I'm still friends with Ben. There's no bad blood or bad water or anything like that. It just wasn't. It wasn't a bad thing. It just wasn't working.
Yeah.
But we're still good friends and everything. We talk and everything. But that'll be that. I think that's the next one. Because after this week and after next week, Vince is taking a much needed break.
Yeah.
And especially with getting into dropping ghost hunting videos, because I'm not by any means an expert in that field at all. I know what to do. I know what to say. I know how the Ovilus works. I know how the music box works. I have all of that equipment. But as far as like filming, and I got a big learning curve, and especially since I use CapCut and not Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
And that's mainly because when I did have Premiere Pro, I was like, what the fuck? Like, what am I looking at? Like, none of it made any sense to me. So I've got to take a lot of, I got to take a lot of time and trying to figure out what to do, how to do it, and if I'm going to be good at Premiere at all, because that's from what I understand, it's a way better platform than CapCut, but I just gotta kind of figure it out. It is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. That's how I was with. I use Wondershare, and it's
Okay.
same boat. Just I mean, it's a very basic one, so that's fortunate. But yeah, it's there's definitely a learn as you go type of scenario.
Yeah.
Now, when you switch to paranormal investigating, are you going to be using? Because I know in your Urbex videos, you use a flashlight in the camera. Are you going to switch to like an IR light when you're filming, or are you going to keep the flashlight?
So funny you say that. So my video for Madison Seminary was kind of like that, where everything was in IR, like the intro and the outro or whatever. That was a really bad video. It sucks. And the reason why it was so bad was because we got a growl, but the microphone, I didn't realize that the microphone that I was using had a switch.
Oh yeah, I've been there. I've done that a million times. Yep.
And so it did catch the growl, but trying to enhance it, it totally wiped it out. And the whole walkthrough was in IR. But the video with Zach is in IR. So next week, everything is black and white.
Yep.
But with the exception of some drone shots and stuff like that. But I've got a lot of now. I won't stop doing Urbex. It's just a mixture of the two, and it'll just be whatever I feel like is going to happen. But Madison, just what Candy said. Madison was amazing. I love Madison Seminary. I think I'm going to pull the trigger on vending MadCon this year. I'm already at ISS, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger. I felt left out at a FCICon. I was, just walking around or whatever. I was like, man, I could have done this. I don't know why I didn't do it.
Well, we'll be at both of them, ISS and MadCon, so we'll see you there for sure.
Yeah. ISS is going to be absolutely bananas.
No, yeah, it'll be wild.
I can't wait. I'm for anyone who's in the chat in the comments right now, look out, because I am bringing water balloons, and I'm going to peg each and every one of you as you walk past my booth. Like I'm going to notice somebody, and I'm just going to be like.
I won't hold it against you if you hit me with one. It'll probably be refreshing. It's going to be hot as hell, I imagine.
It's going to be balls to the wall hot.
Yeah.
Dude, mid-August, I mean, when I was at Waverly giving tours and stuff, and even private overnights, I was just like, I can't even, like, I was trying to put like napkins and stuff around my neck during tours and stuff. It was terrible. The heat's god awful mid-August.
Definitely. So I know with the Urbex, you like to have bigger locations, but when you're investigating, does that kind of change a little bit? Or does it just depend on what type of energy you're interacting with?
I think it depends. Like this place I'm going to tonight, Whispers Estate, it's a very small place. However, from what I remember last time, it had a lot of activity. My squirrel sense, if I get bored, I'm just like, I can't stay still. And that is like an ongoing problem in the paranormal community. Is nobody wants to stay still for more than a couple minutes at a time. They want to get, I've sat in a room for an hour and a half. Hello, is anybody there? Okay, what's your age? How did you die? Or is there even anyone here? Can you make a noise? Can you make a thud? Scratch me. Anything. Like, I would get so bored to the point to where I was like, if I could have the douchebag mentality of Zach Bagans,
Yeah, just start screaming.
then I would probably never be bored, ever.
Yeah.
And I could walk into places and just be like, well, if you're so tough, but I also want to be respectful at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do with ghost hunting, because you walk into a place like OSR or West Virginia Penn and you're just like, everyone here was a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to be respectful, because there's people, that were in there that might have been innocent, or there's, maybe there's a staff member that died from one of the inmates, or you don't know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot of things that get missed in investigating, is that you never know who you're talking to, and you walk into a place like the Gettysburg Orphanage, where that woman was just a raging piece of shit to the kids. She used to beat them and torture them and put them in straitjackets, chain them up to the wall and stuff like that. And you're just like, you could realistically go in there and put Jen under Estes and just start calling her all kinds of names, but you might be talking to a little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Well, I
might be
feel like
talking to a
personally,
staff
like-
member that didn't know.
Personally, no matter who I'm interacting with, even if they are a piece of shit, I still try to be, or even if they pose as a demon or whatever, whatever type of, I just try to be respectful. Regardless. I mean, they can call me an asshole or, scratch me or do whatever, but
yeah, see, Val had an interesting experience at the orphanage. She was dealing with some bad stuff in that basement.
Yeah.
That's
I usually take it. I know Jen
House.
will attack them.
Just the other day,
Yeah.
with Jen, we got getting called all sorts of names at Octagon House when we were just there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we
I
were
wish
doing a
I'd have
double
known that y'all
Estes.
were. I wish I'd have known that y'all were going to Octagon, because we probably would have followed you.
Well, that was the same weekend we were at FCI.
Landall's was so bad. Like, it's a beautiful place, but like, it's haunted with tourists.
Yeah.
Well, that's have you been to Gettysburg or?
Oh yeah.
Okay, because like for this bash coming up, you were talking about going to some places, and we were there last year, and there's tons of people. Like, you got a Sachs covered bridge, there's tons of people. You got a Crybaby bridge, there's tons of people. Like,
even if it's I noticed that last time too. So when I went, we went like I think it was in the fall. I think, I'm not 100%. I don't know. I really don't even remember what time of year it was, but there wasn't nothing going on. We get cussed out at multiple occasions. Facts. But yeah, we got done at the orphanage, and we went over to Saks, and it's just full to the brim of people, and you're just like, and they're running portals and shit. I'm like, you can't hear that shit, right? Like,
Yeah.
Go in there and sit down and shut up. Because what everyone wants when they go to Saks Covered Bridge, they want to hear trotting footsteps. They want to hear gunpowder. They want to hear shots. And you're running this loud ass radio that you can't hear anything on to begin with. It absolutely drives me bananas. It makes no sense to me that you would go to a location that's outside and run a portal. If there's anyone in the comments that's doing that, stop it. Don't do it. It's bad. You're not going to hear anything that you're hoping for.
So tell me about equipment. Like, what's your favorite piece of equipment?
Well, I just got that Ovilus. I'm fond of the music box. And the reason why I think I really like the music box is because nothing has to trigger it except for walking in front of it. That's the only thing that triggers it. There's no radio interference. Your phone can't do anything. Nothing. It's absolutely perfect. Unless, of course, the motor dies and it sounds like a squeaking mouse. But I think for me is here recently, in between the cross of the two, is the music box and the Ovilus.
Oh, nice.
You can't really. You can debunk the ovulus all you want to, because that's what it is. It's just a word bank.
Yeah.
But it's faith. You know, I think a lot of people get that mixed up with paranormal investigating. Is that sometimes you won't see a shadow figure, sometimes you won't see an apparition. It's not all the time. It's not guaranteed to happen. So we rely on these devices that may or may not work. And
Yeah.
you don't know if it's a bug that ran in front of the music box. You don't know if the ovulus randomly generates words every couple minutes, or whatever.
Yeah, I think with the
So, but
ovulus, it's like if you know it's a word that wasn't from the word bank, that's the only time I really, really trusted. Like when we were at Dead Man's Hollow, it said McKeesport, which that's like the
sure,
city that Dead Man's Hollow is in. That's
yeah,
not in there. So if it says
right.
stuff like that, it's like that's
I think
definitely legit.
I think the coolest thing I've seen so far come from the ovulus was not a personal experience of mine, but watching one of the Destination Fear episodes, Project Fear now, for anyone who doesn't know. But Dakota had the ovulus sitting there, and he goes, "I'm going to write down a word, and we're going to continue the video, without cutting anything. And I'm going to write down this word, and I'm going to see what happens with ovulus." He wrote down electric, and then boom, on the ovulus. I was just like, "Are you?"
Oh wow,
that's cool.
That's hardcore.
Yeah.
Like the convenience of that has to be like 0 to a million, right? Like the coincidence of that happening is astronomical numbers.
That's like when you get two pieces of equipment and they're both saying the same type of thing too. Like say you're using a spirit box and then maybe you're using like a phone app or something and they both say the same exact thing. Like that's fucking crazy because we've had that happen before.
Sure, yeah. It's interesting. Phone apps are
Mikey's favorite.
I mean, we do get some legit stuff. I will not discredit that. There's some stuff that has been said, and I'm like, wow. But for the most part, it's like Facebook listens to you. All your apps on your phone already listen to you.
Word of advice when you're running phone apps. So I assume you're a big fan of Necrophonic.
I wouldn't say a big fan. I mean, I have it. Jen has it. A couple people on our team have it. We don't use it all the time though.
When you're using these ghost hunting apps,
I actually like Spirit Talker. Spirit Talker is where more legit shit on.
If you're running, my daughter's in here still in chips out of the box. But if you're running Spirit, or if you're running ghost hunting apps on your phone, put your phone in airplane mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get no data in and no data out. There's no way to manipulate it. Hopefully the microphone's not picking you up. I mean, there's a million and one things, I guess, that could make it essentially trigger. But I've always, when I was at Waverly, we didn't get funding for ghost hunting equipment while doing public overnights and stuff. So we would run Necrophonic and Ghost Tube and Spirit Talker and stuff like that. And we'd always put it in airplane mode just to be like to the T, just to make sure everything was like 100%. But I don't discredit the apps, because I mean there's a lot of things that could influence, like Facebook, or what you told your wife you wanted to eat the next day, or whatever. But hopefully with it on airplane mode, it doesn't. Hopefully that's like wiped when you turn it on. So
yeah, definitely. That's why I like I'm a spirit box person. I know there's radio bleed, obviously. That's why, we like to run an AM, but sometimes FM works as well. But you just have to kind of weed through it. Because sometimes, I just did a solo investigation not too long ago at a place in Western PA. It was an antique store. And I would get little glimpses of the Pittsburgh Penguins game, just a little bit. And I could tell, like, that's the game. And we're making a documentary about it. And I even put in there, whatever it said on from the Pens game. And I said, "Go Pens" underneath it in parentheses. So you'll have that. But then you also get the responses that are just absolutely insane. You just have to kind of weed through that.
There was I had an overnight guest at Waverly one time where we were running SB7, and he had pressed a button on it, and it stopped on like 99.7 DJX, it's a local station, and it was playing like "Shake It Off" by Taylor Swift or whatever.
Yeah.
And you just saw him start going like this, and we were like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "It stopped working. I don't know, but Taylor Swift song."
I'm not gonna judge him for being a Swiftie. It's okay.
Yeah, she was in Pittsburgh not that long ago.
Yeah. But yeah, we do get some crazy stuff through the spirit box, but Sean always picks on me and says I need to get one just implanted into my forearm.
Just like so you can hit it and just
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you could probably make this work somehow.
Yeah. I got one of the digital voice recorder ones. I always have that
Oh,
running.
from Ghost Stop?
Yeah. We get a lot of stuff from Ghost Stop. That's what I always like the S box. That's my favorite device of all time.
I've got an S box in the case. You know, a funny thing about that is that the voice at the beginning, S box, is Sean's wife.
Yeah. Yeah. We didn't know that until we were doing a live stream, and he had mentioned that. And I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah. I've been pushing his stuff so bad. I want to. After he sponsored Kalani, I was like, so what does the guy got to do to get sponsorship? You know, and he was just like, he said he's testing the waters, but he's looking at a couple of creators here and there.
Yeah, he's sent us some free stuff. We're actually supposed to do some raffles for him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, we were going to do it when we hit 1 million likes on TikTok, but we just haven't had the time to film anything yet because we're going to do a whole contest and everything, but we just haven't had the time.
Sure.
Yeah. And we just hit 1,000 on YouTube, so we'll just do a couple raffles.
Yay.
finally awesome. Broke that.
I've been sitting in the 300s for a couple weeks now. It's been driving me nuts.
Yeah.
But and that's not to be like, I'm not like or follower hungry or anything, but I would like to I see the opportunity to do something that I love full time, and that's kind of where I want to go. I think that's a lot of our goals is to be able to show these places off to people and do something. That's the American dream, right? Is to do what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, definitely.
And if I could do that without ever touching another nail or hammer or screw or drill or whatever, it would be phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, I sit in front of a computer all day. Even if I do get what I want, I'll probably still be sitting in front of a computer all day, but this time editing. So that'll work out. What the hell is that emoji that Troy put up there?
It was like a celebratory thing, I think.
Oh, okay. I couldn't make it out. I thought he was sleeping.
Yeah, it's like a celebration emoji or something.
Yeah.
That's funny. I want to use a FLIR on haunted dolls.
We haven't had much luck with the FLIR because Troy has one, but I don't think we've ever caught anything on it.
Is that the rope thing?
No, that's the thermal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I don't think I've ever seen anything. You see them on the shows and stuff, but at the same time you're like, well, could someone have walked in front of the camera that you didn't know about?
Yeah.
Or was there a bug that hit the ground, and when he did, dust came up with it, or there's a million things that the FLIR could do.
Well, that's even when we were at Octagon just now. We were there's supposedly raccoons in the wall, so we were trying to see if we could find any raccoons. But
yeah, we were terrified. We were doing a double SD session upstairs, and they mentioned the raccoons, and we're blindfolded with the headphones.
Well, you just left me up there. Well, you weren't there the first night. First night they left me upstairs by myself
with the blindfold and not being able to hear.
Yeah,
I kept feeling stuff walking around on the floorboards, and I'm like, oh great, a raccoon's gonna take my face off, and then I'm gonna fall off this fucking balcony and die.
That's funny. They I don't think I've ever got anything with a FLIR, but it'd be cool to find raccoons in the walls, I guess, with a FLIR camera.
Yeah, I would just know where not to go. Fuck that.
Right. Pumping you out.
I'm assuming I must have been pimping you out. Pumping
probably.
Sounds, yeah, pumping sounds even worse.
Yeah. I don't think I like either one of those activities though.
Yeah, definitely not. I never want to hook up with an animal. That'd be weird.
My team member is really good with it.
There's pimping.
Pimping, yeah.
No, dude, you can't say it with the ing. You gotta be like Cat Williams. Camping.
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 Talking about slang and all that. What's dude mean? I know that's your catchphrase.
That became a random thing. And I don't know where it came from. I don't know how I came up with it. But it just I was really surprised when a buddy of mine, Sharon, she's on the Outcast Paranormal team as well. She sent me an audio from Ryan Upchurch, and the song is called "Look at These Dudes." And I was just like, "That's absolutely perfect. I can't skip out on that." But I'm not a hick hop kind of guy. But I mean, it was a really funny audio. But it just became something that I would say when I jumped into someone's lives on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. And I just people start doing it to me, and I was just like, okay, well, I'll just throw it on a t-shirt, or I'll put it. I've actually got it on my I don't know if you saw any of the Pinhurst stuff, but during the Pinhurst Paracon, it's on one of my banners, on one of my side banners on the tent or whatever.
Yeah.
And I get people all the time, like if I go to meet somebody for the first time, like I met Jen for the first time, Jen and Sean, and that was the first thing that Jen said to me. And so it kind of become like an ongoing joke, really, and I just kind of ran with it, I guess.
So I see someone mentioned she could find Bigfoot. Is that something that you do at all? Is the cryptid thing?
I know, dude. I sent Jen this video. I have not been able to find it again since then. But this guy is clearly in West Virginia somewhere, or Pennsylvania, one of the two. He's out in the woods in the Appalachian Mountains, and he was like, "Just got to the Appalachians. Haven't seen a skinwalker." And before he can say yet, you hear this loud like. In the background is loud.
Yeah.
And I genuinely don't think a person can make that noise, but yeah, my Outcast people, they're always making fun of me and stuff, which makes no sense to me, because maybe to an extent I believe in cryptids, maybe.
Yeah.
But on another sense, I'm just kind of like, you really believe that a Yeti from Star Wars is running around jumping up and down through the woods and stuff? And that's not to like make fun of anybody, because I know there's a lot of people that believe in cryptids, but it's so hard for me to believe. It's like Santa Claus, or even for me not to.
Oh man, we got another special guest.
There's a whole
I'm trying to upload something.